Hey everybody, Happy New Year if you're watching this around the New Year when I'm posting it. If not, that's fine, you can watch these whenever you want. Today we're going to do a pick a card reading. So basically how this works is I've got 3 piles of cards and I'll show them to you and you can follow your intuition to pick one of these. Maybe pick one at random, maybe use a random number generator 1 through 3. Maybe you want to watch all 3, I don't know. The way I do it, I usually close my eyes, take a few deep breaths, clear my mind. When I open my eyes, my attention will feel like it's kind of like a compass needle pointing to one of these. It'll like sort of stick to one of these groups. But however you do it, however you choose, I'll have the timestamps down below and you can click that timestamp and go to your reading. I also have a few gemstones next to these and maybe that'll help you pick a pile. I don't know. Follow your intuition here. All right, let's get into it. So, hey group 1, first thing I did was I pulled an I Ching hexagram for you, and we got hexagram 59, dispersing, that with a changing line, the 5th line, so dispersing changes to childhood. Now basically this is like a hexagram of breaking up ice so that it can melt. It's like getting rid of a blockage, dissolving something. Essentially, there's a blockage that is somewhere in your life. It could be a spiritual blockage, a blockage in your chakra, could be anything really, a blockage in a relationship or just a little issue somewhere. And you have to do something to begin the process of dissolution. You know, if like something is frozen over, you have to take like a tool and break up the ice first. And then when the ice is broken into smaller pieces, it can then melt. And here, this hexagram is generally pulled when a leader has to set a good example for something through their spirituality. And that 5th line is your changing line, and that is like the leadership line. That's the king's line in the I Ching usually. And so you're being asked to really set a good example through your spiritual connections, through maybe your spiritual practices, your disciplines, your psychological disciplines. Just basically the way you deal with your spiritual life is going to inspire people around you. And it's the way that you deal with a blockage that you have in your life, the way that you're overcoming a problem through spirituality is going to set a very, very good example for the people around you at this time. And you're also being asked to speak out, like don't hide things that you believe you need to talk about or point out or speak out about. Now's the time to do it and do it loudly. And also to be generous with those around you. As you set this good example, generosity is part of that good example. Sharing what you know, sharing your resources, whatever it is, whatever generosity means to you, now is not the time to be withholding. Now is the time to spread the joy, spread the love, spread whatever. And that will bring a great deal of success. And there could be like a dispersing of people and you have a lot of good ideas that will keep the people together, a dispersal of energy, perhaps after like a victory or after a celebration where people have had a lot of fun, after some good times or something like that. People disperse their energy at these times, and then a strong leader needs to then refocus the group, reunite the group with a purpose, and you have that purpose. Having that changing line at the 5th place, it's your responsibility to lead and reunite this group. So we'll develop this further by spinning a coin and getting one of these 24 aspects of reality, something for you to focus on. So, Oracle, what aspect of life does Group 1 need to focus on today? And then we'll pull those cards for you. Okay, we have the closed fist, or severity, right? If you study the Kabbalah or the Tree of Life, the left-handed path is the path of severity. If you know about some old martial arts philosophy, the way of the closed fist, which is more of an offensive, strength-based type of school of martial arts. And here we have the Ace of Pentacles for you, and initiative. Here we have like this crazy like seahorse thing. It's like a legit like seahorse. It's not a seahorse, it's a seahorse. It's a horse with a fishtail thing. Oh, you know, maybe you live in Ireland. If you know, you know. With those horse eels, Loch Ness Monster in Scotland, and the other lakes throughout Ireland. Apparently there are these really weird creatures that many people have seen that they describe as horse eels or water horses, or they're referred to in ancient texts as dragons. Maybe that's something you want to study. You know, there are famous Irish and Scottish dragon slayers, right? And Welsh and English dragon slayers that are through your ancient history books there. And they talk about these strange water horses and horse eels and horse dragons and stuff that come out of the ocean or come out of the lakes. Maybe there's something like that you need to study. Because, you know, when I think of the closed fist and severity and this comes out, I just think of like classic tales of dragon slayers. We also have the Ace of Pentacles, and your token is thought. One of the aspects of the human being is thinking. You know, there's thinking and feeling and willing. Well, here, your attention is being brought to your thought processes. Now, there is some great opportunity here. You know, when we were talking about dispersing and your ability to bring things back together, you might need to really like lay down the law in order to bring this group back together, or perhaps it's just with yourself. You've dispersed your own energy and you need to just be ruthless with yourself to refocus your energy and step forward, because you have a really good opportunity here and you have to take the initiative to grab it, and you can't let your thoughts get away from you. You have to really focus down and knuckle down to refocus, because when you do refocus, it will like come together in this like pentacle, right? Like this giant opportunity, this solid opportunity. And if you allow your thoughts to get away from you, this opportunity might just vanish into the air. You can see it's in the clouds, it's in the sky, and if you don't grab it, it will continue to disperse like the clouds on a hot day. But if you focus in, that opportunity will be there for you, and you really have to do it. Again, this reminds me of that fifth changing line where you are the leader in this situation. If you don't take the initiative, if you don't take the action, this thing's not going to happen. And you just have to think very clearly about it, or stop being distracted by things. There's a sharpness of mind that you need to possess, that you need to develop, so that you can see clearly all the details of how to do this. This is a very like detail-oriented situation, perhaps a somewhat left-brained oriented situation. Here we have, you know, severity, which on the Tree of Life is the left-hand path, which is associated with the left brain in our bicameral human consciousness, which is like logic and detail and logistics and specificity and maybe scientific thinking, or just strong organizational skills are needed. You need to get your thoughts in order, you know, write some lists, make some bullet points, weigh the pros and cons with actual lists of pros and cons, and really think this through. And when it has become clear, you've refocused, you've taken that dispersed energy, focused it onto these logical, logistical steps that you've taken, and then that pentacle will show up and you'll be like, oh, there's the opportunity, this is how I have to do it, now I can go grab it. So there's just some mental organization that you need to do, and I don't think anyone else is going to do this for you. This is something that you need to get started. Yeah. So, all right, Group 1, I think that's what I've got for you today. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time. Hey, Group 2, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. So I pulled an itching hexagram for you to begin with. And we got hexagram 8, union, with the changing line there. This camera doesn't want to focus. Changing to hexagram 29, darkness. So that second line down near the bottom is the changing line. So this is a hexagram of commitment, an agreement, and this could be a commitment to yourself. It doesn't have to necessarily be with other people, although oftentimes this union is talking about interpersonal relationships, commitments to each other, commitments to our families, to our friends, to our spouses or whomever, to our business partners or workmates, whatever it happens to be. We're being asked to re-examine our commitments, to recommit to something like that, or to take our own inner commitments more seriously. Because here, that second changing line is actually more oriented toward an individual's inner life. When union alternates to darkness, when that second line changes, this is like that good kind of darkness, that spiritual darkness, the within sort of darkness. The absolute reality. People who meditate and achieve a heightened state of consciousness through meditation, through that state of samadhi, generally report just like this sort of infinite loving darkness that can be experienced in certain exalted states of consciousness. So this darkness is your inner life. It just means the life that no one else can see but you. That's why it's dark. And you can cultivate this inner sincerity within yourself, and by re-examining the agreements you've made with yourself, the commitments you've made with yourself, maybe agreements and commitments you've made on your spiritual path, or things that you've said you're going to do to modulate your emotions, control your thoughts, discipline yourself psychologically or spiritually, sticking to your practices, things like that. We make these commitments along the spiritual path, and here you're setting a good example by loving yourself, loving your own company, being okay, following your own integrity instead of following the herd, right? This is really a sign of doing what you believe is right despite what everybody else thinks. This is that whole idea of your inner compass is going to steer you correctly. There might be a group mentality, a mob mentality around you that's just not good, it's not for you, and despite the social pressures you might be feeling, you've got to stick to your own inner intuition and persevere with your own integrity. And this will actually kind of help wake people up around you, and you can gain support and good interpersonal relationships by setting this good example of calling upon your own inner strength, and then everybody else starts to realize oh yeah, I have my own inner strength too. I can follow my own integrity as well, like this person is. And so you can set a really good example in that way, just through your own inner sincerity. And also a little warning is you have to persevere in the relationships that you do have instead of treating people as disposable. If you're being selfish with your relationships and treating people flippantly and as though they're disposable, that'll bring a lot of problems and misfortune for you. So making sure that you're treating those around you with respect, especially in the relationships that you already have established, treating those people with respect and generosity is very important at this time. So we're gonna focus on one of these 24 aspects of reality by spinning a coin on this table here, and we'll see what the Oracle wants us to focus on in your life today. And we'll pull some cards for you. So what does Group 2 need to know, Oracle? What have we here? The Magician. The Magus. So here, that's this is someone who is in control of their resources. They understand themselves. They've done a lot of inner searching and discovered a lot of inner power that can translate also into external power. Someone who has command over the elements, someone who has balanced the elements within themselves, someone who does not have any element that is predominant. So, we have fiery aspects of our emotions and thoughts and beings, and watery aspects, airy aspects, and earthy aspects of our lives. The magician balances these appropriately. The magician, the magus, finds which of these elemental aspects of their personality are excessive, which ones are deficient, and reduces the excessive ones, increases the deficient ones, and develops a balanced personality. And by balancing these elemental aspects of our lives, we gain a lot more freedom. This is how free will is developed, and we are less at the mercy of the laws of reality and more in control of our own lives. So here we have the Queen of Swords for you. We have defense and a sort of whalebone vertebrae looking thing, and the planetary symbol of Mercury and the number 5. So Mercury is interesting because that is a very magus type planetary energy. So here there is, what I'm getting is that there's a lot of communication going on here. I think you are probably receiving a lot of good spiritual insight. Maybe you're working with spirit guides or something like that, or you're just really on point with your intuition. Your synchronicities are lining up. You've got a lot of really good, downloads coming in spiritually, and it's helping to clear your mind. It's enriching your inner life, and through this inner enrichment, you're able to also have good interpersonal relationships, and your communication skills are really, really good at this point. If you see here on this card, there's a little angel up in the top here for this Queen of Swords, and that just confirms this mercurial aspect of it, like divine communication, receiving divine knowledge and wisdom, and coming into you as you go inward and explore your inner life here. And I think you're being asked to kind of keep that a secret. Like, why are you so chill? Like, why do you have such a good, rich inner life? As you go within and recommit to yourself, reestablish your agreements to yourself and on your spiritual path, and this sets a good example for others around you. Maybe the specifics of what you're doing don't necessarily need to be openly discussed with people. With trusted confidants, sure, why not? But in general, discussing how you walk the spiritual path, your exact practices, might not be the best idea at this time. The Queen of Swords is a little bit defensive. We have the card of defense here. This whalebone vertebra thing, it just reminds me of the spinal cord, and how, that's the central part of our nervous system that is very closely related to our chakras. And so maybe there are people in your life who are not open to the types of spiritual ideas you're into. Maybe you have a very syncretic view, like taking from different traditions and sort of making your own spiritual practices and disciplines. I know I'm a very syncretic person, and this gets me into trouble with people sometimes. People who are overly scientific and materialistic dislike what I believe in. People who are in some sort of established religious system generally don't like it. I know a lot of occultists don't like the things that I believe in, and I know that a lot of, there's New Agers, a lot of them don't like what I believe in. I don't really belong to any of these groups, because I'm like a heretic amongst anybody who listens to my ideas, who gets to know what I do. They always find fault with something that, New Age purists think I criticize the New Age too much. Occultists think I'm too Christian. Christians think I'm too atheistic or satanic or occult or something. Materialists think I'm too, like blah, 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 like woo-woo. And like occultists and Christians and other religious people think I'm too scientific and too materialistic. Nobody agrees with me. And that's just how I've been my whole life. And so I know I can identify, and like Mercury and the Queen of Swords, they can identify who they can tell these things to and who they just shouldn't. And unfortunately, in many cases like this, where you have a good, rich inner life that has really good results, and then you start sharing it with random people, they think that the good results you have are not real. They're like, oh, this person is so chill and happy and has so much inner strength because they're delusional. I get it now. It's not real inner strength. It's not real cultivation of happiness. They're just stupid wackos. That's why they're so happy, like an idiot goofball. And it's just not worth talking to those types of people who think that way. It's not worth having them in your life, to be perfectly honest. There's also a joke that you can openly talk about these things. There's a joke in the world of alchemy that the alchemist hides as himself because nobody believes you. If like some random person who doesn't know about alchemy or spirituality comes up to you and asks you about your life and like, what do you do? And you say like, oh, I practice internal alchemy and I transmute, emotional lead into emotional gold, or I practice the divination arts, or I commune with archangels, or I practice ritual magic. You just say these things openly and they think you're joking. They don't think you're being serious. They literally will think you were lying or telling some type of a joke. So you, in a way, being totally open about what you're doing can actually be a form of defense, because a lot of people just won't believe you. But yeah, this is a pretty good vibe. I'm getting like you're just vibing on your inner life, and this inner power that you have that you're cultivating is going to very quickly translate into external material results, and you're going to have great success in your ventures because you develop your inner life so well. So group 2, I think that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you stopping by, and I'll see you next time. Hey group 3, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by today, I appreciate it. So I pulled an I Ching hexagram for you, and we got hexagram 39, hardship, with a changing line there, changes to hexagram 8, union. So that third line from the bottom is changing. And this can be a difficult hexagram to get, to take, but in this case, having that third line as a changing line makes this hexagram a lot more auspicious. In most cases, this hexagram is kind of a bad thing. Getting hardship is like, oh man, here we go. But having that third line changing, it's like, okay, these are the natural hardships that are unavoidable in life. They just come up. It's that c'est la vie kind of hardship that you might be experiencing right now. And it's one of those hardships that it's like, you can't go through it, you can't go over it, you can't go around it. Okay, I gotta take a step back here. I have to think about what's going on. It might be like a health issue and you just need convalescence. It might be like recovering from an illness or an injury or something like that, and you just need to like take a step back, go home, put your feet up for a while and just heal and convalesce. And it's like, don't feel bad about having to do that. And there's this sense of returning and retreating brings joy to those around you. Like you might feel a little defeated. There's this obstacle in front of you, this hardship that you hit, and it's like, oh man, now I got to turn around and go back. I have to do a tactical retreat. I got to go home. I got to go back to the headquarters, whatever it is. But those people at home are going to be so happy to see you. It's one of those situations where it's like, yeah, it might kind of suck for you because you ran into this thing that you need to step back from and think about. You need to re-strategize and reorient yourself to figure out how to overcome this obstacle. But in the meantime, everyone else is like, oh, it's kind of nice that you came back. So there's a sense of joy to go along with this retreat. And this obstacle is not so much an obstacle as it is like a test to see, to kind of force you to pull upon your inner resources to see how resourceful you are. And it's a good thing. This is like, how can I overcome this problem? How can I find a new solution here? How can I think outside the box, think creatively? How do I solve this problem? By calling upon my own inner resources. How is biding one's time not wasting one's time? How can I have a good awareness of this problem, introspect on myself to find my own inner strength, my own wisdom, my own creativity? I have to call upon limited resources, which reveals how resourceful you truly are. So this problem is an opportunity in disguise, a good test for you, a good way to keep you sharp, way to keep you going. And after this tactical retreat, introspection, calling upon your inner resources, maybe chilling with your friends and family because you retreated, or your coworkers, or whomever to whom you had to retreat, or maybe just yourself, and you just finally like realize like, oh, you know what? There's nothing I can do about this problem right now except reorient myself, and this gives me a chance to just like sit around and chill for a while. Like, that's nice. You know, you can have that. You can enjoy the fact that this problem is actually giving you a bit of a break, and accept that. But you're biding your time. You're not wasting it. That means while this is happening, you know, look within, reorient yourself, re-strategize, look for creative problem-solving things, and that's the kind of hardship you're dealing with. Now, let's develop this a little bit further for you. I'm going to spin a coin. It's going to focus on one aspect of your life. We'll see where this hardship is and maybe how you can overcome it, or something like that. And we will see what the Oracle wants us to focus on today. So what does Group 3 need to know, Oracle? We are looking here. Okay, we're looking here at the symbol for the prison. It's a little cage, little bars. So the prison, you know, not the nicest sign I've got on here. It's one of the sadder ones. It's one of the more difficult ones to get. You know, it's a prison. There's a stuck feeling that you have. There's a trapped feeling that you have going on right now. There's something. There's a hardship. I mean, this is an appropriate little symbol to get with this itching hexagram. But some prisons are only in our mind and can be easily overcome with a shift in perspective. Other prisons are a little bit more physical and keep us where we are. Like when we suffer an injury, we can feel like we've been imprisoned because now we have to convalesce and heal from the injury before we can get back to life, get back to our normal day-to-day. And that can be very difficult for us. So maybe you're dealing with something like that. But anyway, the cards we've got here are the Five of Cups. In this deck, the little words in the bottom say a loss of pleasure, or loss in pleasure. We've also got desire. Here we've got like a bowl of wine with a lotus flower, and a pomegranate. And then we have speech. This is one of the aspects of a human being. You know, we have thinking, feeling, willing, and speech. So here we have the Five of Cups, desire, and speech coming out on the prison during a time of hardship. So I think you have a strong desire to have this hardship to be done with. I think part of this hardship is what you used to take joy in no longer gives you joy. And that could be like a difficult thing to go through. this happens to me every once in a while with my passions, especially with music, where I'll go through times in my life where like I just don't care about playing music. It just doesn't bring me joy anymore. And that can be really, really difficult, especially when it's your job, when your income depends on something like this. One thing I recommend is don't turn your hobbies into jobs because that can lead to Five of Cups here. That can lead to you just losing all joy and pleasure in that thing that you once loved. And you might want, something like that may have happened to you, and you want that desire back, the desire to do that activity. You want it back, or you desire to just have that desire, that to have that fire, that passion to do something. You might be lacking it. Now, something that you might want to do is talk to somebody about it. Communicate this inner issue that you have with someone. Talking it over might help. So I don't know if you have any trusted confidants, or if maybe a little bit of therapy will go a long way, but there could be this just catharsis from just talk therapy, speaking about it, getting it off your chest. That can help a lot. That can sometimes be all you need, and then you start to see the problem like dissolves and starts to go away. Another aspect of this could be that you just have to accept that this activity, this thing is just not going to work for you anymore, and you need to find some other way. And this is also a token of listening, not only speaking, but of listening. So maybe you need to listen to some good advice on this. Maybe there's someone that you can learn from, someone who can teach you how to deal with these sorts of problems, someone who's gone through this problem before, someone who's been in this prison before, who has then gotten out of it eventually. Maybe they have some good insight for you, and just listening can be good. Another thing I'm getting is listening to or reading, right? Listening to or reading religious scriptures. This might not be for everyone. Not everyone is interested in that sort of thing. But listening is part of the spiritual path, especially a more traditionalized spiritual path, where we listen to people like gurus or priests or teachers or whomever read from the scriptures. And just listening to a sermon can sometimes give us really good insight, that just a light bulb goes off, something that the preacher says just makes us have a sudden flash of inspiration, and that inspiration can transform into a desire to do something new or to change our strategy and get out of this funk that we're in, or if we can't find our own inner resources easily, sometimes listening to someone else can help us discover our own inner resources, particularly in the realm of religious scripture, whether it's the Lotus Sutra, the Yoga Sutras, the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, whatever it is, or maybe the Upanishads, that comes up. But listening to something from these books, maybe flipping to a random page and reading it, listening to a podcast about it, I don't know, but that sort of reflection can help you like look within and force you to remember your own inner resources if you're having a hard time finding them yourself. And accepting that maybe you have to walk away from something, but to not be overly disappointed, because you still got these 2 full cups here. So while these 3 cups might have spilled over and you're like, oh man, this sucks, you still have something you can do, these inner resources that you've got, and you're not left empty. And like, this coming out, we have just this beautiful image of knowledge and spirituality and joy, of pomegranates and lotuses and a bowl of wine. So even though there is this hardship and this obstacle in front of you, like the itching hexagram says, there is also a joy in retreating. there is also like a you're not going to fall too far by re-examining, by running into this speed bump. It's disappointing, but it's a good opportunity for you to get back on track, probably spiritually, to just recollect yourself and refresh and start anew and move on in a different way. That will be much better for you going forward. All right, Group 3. I think that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. It's nice seeing you. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.